That's who I am. I'm loyal. Like, if you're honest with me, it doesn't matter. I will love you. I'll stand up for you.
Well, that loyalty clearly did not include her own father. New footage just leaked of Brooke Hogan at a party with The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, two of Hulk's biggest enemies, and now people are talking. Some say it is why she got cut out of the will, while others think it is what finally broke the Hogan family for good. Let us break it all down. When family drama gets nuclear, Brooke Hogan was seen out with the enemy, and the internet is not letting it slide. The new footage shows her hanging out with two of her father's biggest rivals, and it has caught people off guard. Brooke was not just another wrestling kid, she was the wrestling kid her whole life played out on camera through Hogan Knows Best, where she grew up as the daughter of the man who practically defined wrestling greatness. Seeing her now with the same men who clashed with her dad is shocking, but that picture-perfect image was hiding some dark secrets behind the scenes. The Hogan Empire was crumbling. What looked like a fairy tale family on TV eventually spiraled into one of the most shocking scandals in entertainment history. It all came crashing down with the infamous 2006 sex tape, which leaked years later in 2012, and led to a $31 million lawsuit win against Gawker. But that was only the beginning of the chaos. The real explosion came in 2015, when transcripts from that tape revealed something that left everyone stunned. Hulk Hogan, the man who built his career as America's hero, was caught on tape making racist comments about his own daughter Brooke dating a black man. He even admitted, "I am a racist." To a point, the fallout was immediate and brutal. WWE cut ties with him and removed him from their Hall of Fame as if he had never existed. Brooke's story from there became both heartbreaking and complicated. Instead of condemning her father like many expected, she initially defended him, and footage of her speaking about this impossible situation still exists. Can you imagine being in that position? Your own father is caught on tape making racist comments about your romantic choices, and you are still trying to protect him because at the end of the day, he is still your dad. But the damage was already done, and it went much deeper than public embarrassment. The scandal reportedly destroyed Brooke's relationship with a black producer and effectively ended her music career. The psychological impact of this situation cannot be overstated. Imagine trying to navigate your early 20s, figure out your identity, build your own career, and maintain relationships while your father's racist comments about your love life are being broadcast across every entertainment news outlet in the world. It is almost impossible to comprehend how she managed to hold herself together. Listen to how she tried to rationalize this impossible situation.
Like, oh, Brooke stands by her dad, this and that. It's like, first of all, that's who I am. I'm loyal. Like, if you're honest with me, it doesn't matter. I will love you. I'll stand up for you.
But wait, because somehow this story manages to get even more disturbing. We need to talk about some behavior from Hulk that made people very uncomfortable. Long before the racist scandal broke in 2013, Hogan posted photos of Brooke's legs on social media, calling them 100% perfect, and paparazzi captured him applying sunscreen to her buttocks while they were sunbathing. The internet immediately reacted with accusations of inappropriate behavior, and honestly, it is hard to blame them. This was not just a one-time strange social media moment, either. The pattern of behavior suggested something much more concerning about the family dynamics behind closed doors. When you combine this with everything else known about Hulk's actions, it starts to paint a picture of a man who had serious boundary issues when it came to his own family. Now fast forward to where the story becomes even more devastating. Despite initially defending her father through the 2015 scandal, Brooke's relationship with both of her parents began to deteriorate over the following years. In September 2023, she made the decision to completely cut off contact with Hulk, citing his toxic circle and declining health in what can only be described as the final collapse of the Hogan family. Brooke accused both of her parents of verbal, mental, and physical abuse that had been going on since her childhood. These were not minor family disputes, but serious allegations from someone who had spent years publicly defending them. The extent of the breakdown is staggering. Hulk never met Brooke's children, his own grandchildren, and she skipped his 2023 wedding to Sky Daily. Imagine the level of pain and betrayal that would lead someone to not only cut off their parents, but to keep their children away from their grandparents. The situation escalated even further when Brooke requested to be removed from Hulk's will before his death, ultimately receiving nothing from his estate. She chose to walk away from what was likely a significant inheritance rather than maintain any connection to her father. From a broader cultural perspective, Brooke's story shows the devastating cost of fame, family dysfunction, and the painful legacy of a man who once stood as a symbol of heroism, but whose private actions revealed something far darker.
Well, like, don't judge somebody on the decisions they made when you don't know the options they had to choose from, or that you don't know the mind space, or the marriage, or the job, or whatever they were in. It's hard to say, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. I would never do that. Like, you don't know. You are under a certain amount of stress, or if there's certain temptations or things like that.
When Hulk died on July 24th, 2025 Brooke's response was measured, but powerful. She expressed gratitude for having known the real version of him beyond his public persona. Now that we understand the toxic family dynamics brewing behind the scenes, it is important to recognize that Hulk's pattern of manipulation and dishonesty extended far beyond his personal life. This behavior was also severely damaging his professional relationships. And nowhere is this more evident than in his legendary feud with The Undertaker. A grudge that simmered for over 30 years perfectly illustrates how Hulk's selfishness affected everyone around him. The foundation of this drama began in 1991, when The Undertaker was just 26 years old and represented everything wrestling could become: athletic, mysterious, and genuinely compelling. He transcended typical sports entertainment. Meanwhile, Hulk Hogan was the established king who had built his empire on a very specific formula of patriotic heroism and crowd manipulation. The generational clash was inevitable, but what happened next would define their relationship forever. Survivor Series 1991. These two forces collided in what should have been a passing of the torch moment. The Undertaker defeated Hogan with a tombstone piledriver to win his first WWF Championship. For a brief moment, it seemed like the wrestling world was evolving exactly as it should, but then Hulk's true character emerged in the most manipulative way possible. The Undertaker himself later explained what happened in that crucial moment.
If anybody should have disowned me, it should have been her. You know, she should have been the one. She should have been the one to throw me out like the trash, but instead she showed me more.
Immediately after the move, Hogan claimed that The Undertaker had severely injured his neck, dramatizing the injury backstage to an almost theatrical degree. This was not a minor complaint, but a full-scale manipulation campaign designed to undermine The Undertaker's biggest career moment. Imagine being 26 years old, achieving your dream, and then having the biggest star in the company claim that you nearly ended his career. The psychological impact was devastating. The Undertaker has described feeling crushed and guilty, genuinely fearing that he might lose his job. But this is where the story shifts from an unfortunate accident to calculated deception, the kind that makes you lose faith in humanity.
Brother, you got me. That is crippled.
That's right. After reviewing the match footage, it became crystal clear that Hogan's head never actually touched the mat. The tombstone piledriver had been executed flawlessly with all safety measures in place. Hulk Hogan had fabricated the entire injury story to manipulate the situation and protect his own position. The immediate consequences were devastating. Just 6 days after winning the championship, The Undertaker lost the title back to Hogan at Tuesday in Texas. 6 days. The Undertaker's first major championship reign lasted less than a week because Hogan manufactured a fake injury to justify reclaiming the title immediately. This was not just about a championship, it was part of a larger pattern of behavior that defined Hulk's approach to the wrestling business. Just as he had created toxic family dynamics at home with inappropriate behavior toward Brooke and racist comments, he used manipulation and lies to control his professional environment as well. The Undertaker realized he was dealing with someone who would destroy other people's opportunities without hesitation if it served his own interests. Fast forward to 2002, when their paths crossed again during Hogan's WWE return. By this time, the power dynamics had completely shifted. The Undertaker was no longer the young, impressionable wrestler who could be manipulated. He was now a seasoned veteran with serious political influence. During their feud that year, The Undertaker ultimately defeated Hogan at Judgment Day 2002 to claim the undisputed championship. Many fans saw this as symbolic payback for what had happened in 1991, but the most revealing moment came decades later in 2025, when we finally heard The Undertaker's unfiltered thoughts on Hogan's legacy during a podcast discussion about Hogan being booed during WWE Raw's Netflix premiere. The Undertaker's response was brutally honest and unflinching.
Times in life, things come back. All the podcasts and all the books and everything, and everybody realizes that Hogan wasn't the guy he was portrayed.
This statement hits differently when you understand the full context. The Undertaker was not just referring to the 2015 racism scandal, he was referencing decades of behavior that included the family dysfunction we discussed earlier, the professional manipulation, and a consistent pattern of putting himself above everyone else regardless of the consequences. Even when acknowledging Hogan's historical importance, The Undertaker's reluctance was clear and palpable.
No, he's a Mount Rushmore guy. Yeah, he's a Mount Rushmore guy. You put him on your Mount Rushmore, even with the beef that y'all.
The way he said it, the tone, the repetition, the direct acknowledgement of the beef, revealed someone who recognized Hogan's impact while still harboring deep resentment for being manipulated at the most crucial moment of his early career. When Hogan died, The Undertaker posted a professional tribute, but even in death the statement felt measured rather than genuinely warm. It was the response of someone who understood the business obligation while maintaining personal boundaries established decades Earlier, this dynamic between Hogan and The Undertaker perfectly illustrates how toxic behavior creates lasting consequences. Just as Hogan's racism and inappropriate behavior destroyed his relationship with Brooke, his professional manipulation created a grudge that lasted an entire career. The Undertaker story also shows something important: how to maintain your integrity while dealing with toxic people and eventually gain enough power to ensure that manipulation cannot happen again. But if you think The Undertaker's measured professional approach was intense, wait until you see how a certain beast incarnate decided to handle the situation with absolutely zero diplomatic filter. Brock Lesnar's savage destruction. After seeing how Hulk Hogan's toxic behavior destroyed his family relationships and created decades-long professional grudges, it is crucial to examine what happened when someone with zero tolerance for manipulation and politics entered the picture. That someone is Brock Lesnar, a man who represents everything Hogan's era of wrestling was not authentic, legitimately dangerous, and completely uninterested in playing political games. The brilliance of Lesnar's approach to Hogan lies in how it perfectly contrasts with The Undertaker's measured long-term grudge, where The Undertaker maintained professional courtesy while harboring resentment. Lesnar chose to psychologically demolish Hogan in the most public and humiliating ways possible, and honestly, it was absolutely glorious to watch. The foundation of pure dominance Brock built began when he first encountered Hogan back in 2002. Picture this: Lesnar had just debuted as the next big thing, a legitimate amateur wrestling champion and genetic freak who looked like he had been built in a laboratory specifically to destroy other human beings.